Hey guys, how's it going? It's Trieyx here, back with Genshin Impact Idiot's Guide to Playing Whatever Character. So yeah, in today's video we're learning how to play Arlecchino. And if you guys don't know how the series works, I'll let my past self explain it because I can't explain it to save my life. So yeah, take it away, past self. The thing about this series that's gonna be completely different than other people's guides, like other YouTubers' guides and whatnot, is the fact that I'm going into these videos blind with no real knowledge on how to play the character whatsoever. The funny thing is that I'm actually not making this video for you guys. I'm kind of making this video or this series for myself, hence the title An Idiot's Guide. Like, I'm the idiot who's making the guide. That's what I mean when I say this series actually for me. And I'm trying to learn how each character works in this game. That way I'll be a little bit better at this game because I'm kind of a scrub. And then I thought, why not make content out of it? It's kind of killing two birds with one stone. But not only am I forcing myself to learn how to play these characters, I'm also making a guide for you guys to learn as well with me. So this entire series kind of just me learning, and then you guys seeing the process of how I learn, and maybe that'll help you guys learn how to play a character as well. That's what I mean when I say this series is going to be a little bit more unique compared to other content creators, because usually when it comes to other content creators, they are kind of experts. They kind of know how the characters work, like the in and out and everything like that. But for me, I had no idea how these characters work. I'm gonna learn on video with you guys, and maybe you guys can learn with me. Yeah, hopefully the series helped you guys out. Alright, so now you guys know how the series works. I just want to say that I am not a meta player whatsoever. I don't know any of like the meta strats, stuff like that. So don't expect me to be an expert in this game because I'm far from it. I'm a complete noob.
We don't have to go there. I mean, you're not wrong, but you didn't have to say it.
But anyway, without further ado, let's get into learning Arlecchino. So first things first, let's start with her talents. I'm looking at a normal attack right now, and man, it's super long. But a normal attack, she does 6 consecutive spear strikes and nothing crazy. However, her charge attack is completely different from other people's charge attacks. Yeah, for her charge attack, she consumes a fixed amount of stamina, dashing toward a nearby opponent and cleaving once, basically hitting. And if you continuously hold this button, it will cause Arlecchino to consume some stamina and engage in up to 5 seconds of high-speed movement. Now this is really cool. I made a short of Arlecchino kind of being like Sephiroth, just terrorizing the entire Fontaine. It's so stupid, but yeah, that was really cool to see how she has like one wing. And I compared it to Sephiroth because they both have one wing. Arlecchino is like the one wing angel of Genshin Impact. Yeah, and also she has white hair too, so it kind of fits. And she also is sort of a villain, I guess. And as for her punching attack, nothing crazy. Basically every other punching attack. And as for this right here, Mask of the Red Death, I think it's masked. When Arlecchino has a bond of life equal to or greater than 30% of her max HP, she will enter the Mask of Red Death state, where her normal, charged, and plunging attacks will be converted to deal pyro damage. This cannot be overridden. So I'm assuming that you can't infuse it with other elements. When in the Mask of Red Death state, Arlecchino's normal attacks will deal extra damage to opponents on hits that scale off her attack multiplied by a certain ratio of her current bond of life percentage. This will consume 7.5% of said current bond of life. Her bond of life can be consumed this way every 0.03 seconds, which I think is basically nothing. When her bond of life is consumed in this manner, all his ash cooldown will be decreased by 0.8 seconds, and all his ash is her elemental skill. Okay, to explain the Mask of Red Death, when Arlecchino has a bond of life equal to or greater than 30% of her max HP, she enters a state called the Mask of Red Death, where in this state, all her normal, charged, and plunge attacks will be converted into pyro damage. So no longer will just be regular normal attack, it'll be pyro damage. And no matter what you do, you can't change it. Like, you can't change the element, like with using Candace's elemental burst or something like that. Or Candace's skill, I'm not exactly sure what the burst is skilled. And when she's in this state, her normal attack will do extra damage based on her attack multiplied by her bond of life percentage. It doesn't really explain what bond of life is. I'm looking at the description and it didn't really say what it is. Like, this is what I hate about Genshin Impact's explanation when it comes to skills. They kind of expect you to know what the stuff is, so they don't really explain it, and I'm like, what the heck is the bond of life? And every time it deals extra damage, it will consume 7.5% of the current bond of life, and her bond of life can be consumed this way for every 0.03 seconds, which is basically nothing. Meaning that she can deal her extra damage and also consume 7.5% of your current bond of life almost immediately, I guess. So that seems kind of crazy. I'm assuming that's what it means. And when her bond of life is consumed, her cooldown for her skill decreases by 0.8 seconds, which is really good because the cooldown for her skill is super high for some reason, which I'm assuming because of this. So hopefully I got this right. If I'm wrong, I'll definitely leave a comment down below or something on the screen kind of correcting myself. I heard that Arlecchino is kind of like a, I guess, power prep version, or like a better version of Hu Tao, which I can kind of see, especially when I tried her out in the character trial. Like, she was super strong. So yeah, I feel like Arlecchino is definitely a better version of Hu Tao. That being said, Hu Tao is still really good. If you guys like Hu Tao, you guys can still use it. When it comes to Genshin Impact, you guys can use whatever character you guys want, and you guys will still pass content. You guys don't need like the best of the best. And I'm pretty sure Arlecchino has some flaws or cons that Hu Tao doesn't have. Or if you guys want, actually, you guys can like use both of them at the same time. Hu Tao and Arlecchino, I guess. I don't know. But when it comes to her skill attributes, the Mask of Red Death increase is 120.40%, which I'm assuming this is like the extra damage that she does. Or maybe this could be the increase when your normal attacks get changed with the pyro. Maybe you get an extra increase in percentage when you're doing those attacks. I don't know. But I think this is like the extra damage that it does. Yeah, but it doesn't really say. It just says Mask of Red Death death increase, so it's so vague, I have no idea what it even is. But the key thing here is the high speed movement stamina cost. When you use Arlecchino's charge attack, you guys will be in a state where you can travel really fast. With her wing, it uses 40 stamina per second. You can't really travel too far, but at the same time you can travel decently far, so it's a really good thing to have when it comes to traveling. Her and Yelan will work really well together when it comes to traveling. Not only that, but I feel like the synergy when in the same team probably works really well. It's kind of like with Hu Tao and Yelan, or Hu Tao and Shinka. I think his name is Shinka or something like that. I don't really remember. But you guys can use like Arlecchino's charge attacks to kind of travel a little bit. And once the stamina's up, you guys can use Yelan's skill. And Yelan's skill kind of fills up the stamina bar again. Not all the way, but like halfway. So it seems like a pretty good combination. But next up is the elemental skill. So she summons forth a Bale Moon Bloodfire, dealing pyro damage to multiple nearby enemies and performing a dash cleave against one of them, dealing AoE pyro damage. Opponents hit by the aforementioned attack will have a blood depth directive applied to them. Alright, so for the blood depth directive, it lasts 30 seconds. Every 5 seconds, it'll deal 1 instant of pyro damage to the opponent. Max instances, or max time this can happen, I guess, is 2. This damage will be considered elemental skill damage. When Arlecchino uses a charge attack or her elemental burst, Bale Moon Rising, she will absorb and clear nearby blood depth directives. Each directive absorbed grants her a bond of life worth 65% of her max HP. The maximum value of bond of life she can be granted through blood depth directive within 35 seconds after using elemental skill is 145% of her max HP. Using the elemental skill again during this duration will start the count on duration and a limit on the value of bond of life she may gain from blood depth directives. To explain the elemental skill, when she uses the skill, she does pyro damage to all nearby enemies, and there's also a second animation where she dashes into one of them and dealing more AoE pyro damage, and the opponents getting hit by her elemental skill will have something called a blood depth directive, basically like a debuff applied onto them. It says the aforementioned attack. I'm assuming that it's just a skill in general. I think it's talking about like this entire skill will cause this debuff on them and not just that one attack, like the cleave at the end. But I think the cleave also does AoE pyro damage, so whether it's like the first part of the skill or the second part, it basically hit all the enemies anyway, so I guess it doesn't really matter. But when it comes to the blood depth directive, this debuff lasts for 30 seconds, and every 5 seconds it'll do pyro damage to an enemy, maximum of 2 times, and this damage will be considered as elemental skill damage. And whenever Arlecchino uses her charge attack or her elemental burst, she will clear the blood depth directive or like the debuff on the enemy, and when doing so it'll grant her bond of life for 65% of her max HP, and the maximum she can get is 145% of her max HP in 35 seconds. However, use the skill again, it'll reset the duration of the debuff, I believe, and also resets the limit of how much you can be healed by. That 145% max HP limit in 35 seconds will be reset, and I believe the debuff blood depth directive will reset again, so it'll last another 30 seconds. So I think that's how it works. And with this skill cooldown being 30 seconds, with also her normal attacks decreasing the cooldown, there's basically no limit, I guess, because the limit is every 35 seconds, but since you use the skill every 30 seconds, you can kind of reset this duration and the limit over and over again, so there basically is no limit, I guess. That's what it's saying. But I could be wrong. There's so much like math and thinking involved when it comes to learning characters kits. I'm like, man, you can have a whole degree in Genshinology. It's like learning the terminology in this game and how these skills work and adding up all like the math and whatnot. But when it comes to skill attributes, this is the damage it does. There's nothing crazy. But if I had to mention that all my talents are level 1, like Arlecchino just came out like a week ago, I think. Yeah, I barely had time to really work on her. All they used to do was get it to level 90, so yeah, like none of her stuff is maxed out. Her artifacts are garbage. Her weapons isn't even maxed out, so yeah, like, she's not gonna do that much damage. I basically just worked on her enough where I can unlock everything so I can do this video. But anyways, when it comes to her elemental burst, thank goodness it's really short, but my god. Her previous one was kind of long, but oh my god, the Farina video, oh man, it took forever to record that video. It was like 2 hours long, just reading all that stuff and trying to figure out how everything works. It was so bad. But Arlecchino's Great Wing of Bale Moon Bloodfire beats as she absorbs and clears blood depth directives around her, which is stated in her elemental skill before. She deals AoE power damage before clearing the cooldown of all its ash and healing herself. The healing is based on her bond and life value and attack. But basically how this works is that she does AoE power damage, nothing crazy, and it clears the cooldown of all its ash, which is the elemental skill, which is kind of crazy. Using her elemental burst, but not only does the normal attack in like the whatever state, I think it was like the Master Red Death state, lower the cooldown of her skill, but using elemental burst also clears it as well. So her having a high cooldown on elemental skill would definitely plan. Like I couldn't imagine if she has like a 12-second cooldown of skill, how crazy that would be. But yeah, apparently in the skill she also heals herself as well, and the healing is based on her bond of life value and attack. And yeah, what I'm reading so far, I think Arlecchino sort of scales off attack. I could be wrong, I gotta read a little bit further. When it comes to leveling up Arlecchino, she increases her crit damage, which is crazy. Doesn't Hu Tao also increase crit damage, or am I crazy? I don't remember. Is that crit damage or crit rate? I think it's crit damage. Her and Arlecchino are like one and the same, you know, 2 peas in a pod. They're basically very similar to each other. Okay, so when it comes to the skill attributes, it does seem like her elemental burst also heals her as well. So yeah, she didn't really need a healer now looking at it. Yeah, there's attributes for a level 1 talent, and the cooldown her elemental burst is 15 seconds. Energy cost is 60, which is actually pretty decent. And when it comes to the amount of HP restores, it's 150% of the bond of life plus 150% of attack. But yeah, her elemental burst, pretty simple, nothing crazy. When it comes to her passive talent, agony alone may be repaid. Blood Depth directives had the following characteristics. Arlecchino will be granted a bond of life worth 130% of her max HP. When an opponent to which she herself applied a directive is defeated, 5 seconds after a directive is applied, it'll be upgraded to a Blood Depth Dude. When absorbed, it will instead grant Arlecchino a bond of life worth 130%. Bond of life created in the aforementioned ways cannot exceed the original limit on the value of bond of life obtained through Allah's Ash. To basically explain this, when you use Arlecchino's elemental skill, it'll apply something called a Blood Depth directives on them. And when it comes to his passive talent, Arlecchino will be granted a bond of life worth 130% of her max HP when an opponent that she applied this on is defeated. So yeah, now I'm like thinking, is bond of life sort of like an imaginary value or something like that? Like it's not her actual like HP.
Patrick, your genius is showing.
I'm like so confused. I really wish they explained what bond of life even is. Like I said before, they kind of just doing this term and expected you to know what it is. So yeah, 5 seconds after the debuff or the Blood Depth directive is applied, it'll be changed to something called a Blood Depth Dude. And when you absorb it, which I'm assuming is the same thing as the elemental skill where if you use a charge attack and her elemental burst, it will instead grant Arlecchino a bond of life worth 130%. What this means is that if you defeat an enemy with this directive, Arlecchino will gain 130% of her max HP and bond of life. Or if you absorb this, she will also gain 130% bond of life of her max HP. So I'm assuming whether you absorb it or you defeat the enemy, either way you gain 130% of her max HP as bond of life. That makes more sense. I think that's what it means. And also the maximum limit when it comes to the bond life you can get is the same limit as the skill, with 145%. However, that limit can be reset whenever you use her elemental skill again. So like I said before, the limit doesn't really matter too much, since the cooldown of a skill is less than the duration of the limit, which is like 35 seconds. But yeah, what I'm learning from doing this series is that Genshin is definitely a very hard game to kind of get into because of how much knowledge you need to know about each character. But also kind of a good thing because I love how every character is kind of very unique, I guess, with their own like mechanics. But at the same time, it's like, man, I can't imagine remembering everything. It's crazy. That's why these guides and stuff like that is so popular, because the average casual player had no idea how this stuff works. Like, I'm assuming even like the people who make guides don't 100% know what the heck is going on. They probably trying to like figure it out on the fly and testing out themselves, stuff like that. But yeah, when it comes to Arlecchino's passive talent, strength alone can defend. Arlecchino gains 1% all elemental and physical resistance for every 100 attacks she has in excessive of 1000. The maximum resistance increase she can gain this way for each is 20%. So basically, Arlecchino gains 1% all elemental and physical resistance for every 100 attacks that she has over 1000. So if you have like 2000 attacks, she gains 10% all elemental resistance and physical resistance. And the maximum she can gain is 20%. So you kind of want to aim Arlecchino to have 3000 attacks. That way she can take the full benefit of this passive talent. That's pretty simple. I'm glad this was simple. But her last passive talent, the Pale Moon alone may know. While in combat, Arlecchino gains a 40% power damage bonus and can only be healed through Pale Moon Rising. So basically, with this talent, she gains 40% power damage, which is great, extra damage boost. However, she can only be healed using her burst. Does that mean that Arlecchino can't be healed at all? They're kind of incentivizing that you don't run a healer whatsoever. So like, if you want to run Farina with Arlecchino, I feel like you still have to bring a healer regardless, because Farina needs a healer. Unless you have her C6. Even though Arlecchino doesn't really need a healer, depending on what units you have on your team, you still need to bring a healer. But I think it's everything when it comes to her talents. Like I said before, if I got anything wrong, I'll leave a comment down below or a comment on the screen just correcting myself. But now we got to her talents, let's get into her constellations. Hopefully constellation isn't too crazy. Looking at it now, oh, thank goodness. It's relatively short, so I'm glad. Farina's constellations were like an essay. It's crazy. Alright, so when it comes to Arlecchino's C1, the Mask of Red Deaths is further enhanced. The value increases 100%. Additionally, Arlecchino's interruption resistance is increased when she performs normal or charge attacks while affected by the Mask of Red Death. So the original increase was 120%, 0.4. With her constellation, I think it adds an extra 100%. So it's like 220.4. It basically kind of doubled the increase, which I still have no idea what the increase even is. You guys can really tell it was like a noob guide. Like when it comes to other Genshin YouTubers, I'm pretty sure they know exactly what the heck it means, but for me, I'm like, I have no idea what it means. When it comes to the second part of her constellation, I think this means that it's harder for her to be interrupted when she's using her normal attacks or charge attack. You know how sometimes when you're fighting, an enemy hits you, it kind of knocked you back or like kind of like staggered you, I guess this makes it so she doesn't get staggered as easily. Maybe doesn't get staggered at all or get knocked back at all. So that's kind of cool. That's like a new mechanic, I think. But when it comes to her C2, blood depth directives are now already blood depth dew when first applied. When Arlecchino absorbs such a dew, she unleashes Bale Moon Bloodfire in front of her, doing 900% of her attack as AoE pyro damage, and increasing her all elemental resistance and physical resistance by 20% for 15 seconds. This effect can trigger every 10 seconds. Okay, so basically explain how this constellation works. When she uses the elemental skill, she calls a debuff on enemies called blood depth directives, and in her passive talent, the blood depth directives take 5 seconds to change it to blood depth dew. With her constellation, it'll automatically put it into the blood depth dew state, and when she absorbs the dew, not only does she get 130% bond of life from her passive talent, but she also deals 900% of her attack at AoE power damage, and this attack is called Bale Moon Bloodfire, but basically the same move she does with Elemental Burst, meaning that if she absorbs this dew, whether using a charge attack or burst, she does another burst, I think. It increases her all elemental resistance and physical resistance by 20% for 15 seconds, which I'm assuming this stacks with her passive talent, where if you have over 1,000 attack, you get resistance as well, and this effect can trigger every 10 seconds. So I'm assuming this can be used once every single time she uses an elemental skill. Because in order to apply a blood depth directive, she has to use a skill, and I believe it only applies once you use a skill. So after you absorb the blood depth directive or whatever the blood depth do, no enemies on the field will have this debuff until you use a skill again. So I don't think the whole trigger every 10 seconds really matter too much when it comes to that. But I guess her cooldown does decrease, right? And using her normal attacks and also using her elemental burst. So actually, you know what? It does kind of matter. If you use elemental skill, you use elemental burst, and if it resets the cooldown of a skill, and then you use a skill again, you can't trigger this until 10 seconds. But yeah, I think with this constellation, whenever she absorbs the dew, whether using a charge attack or elemental burst, another elemental burst. I really have to try this out. Actually, you know what? I can't even try it. What am I talking about? I don't have a C2, and I don't plan on getting C2, so if you have a C2, definitely let me know. Yeah, me personally, I would never be able to test it out. Like, I'm not going for C2. Man, like, I went for C1 Hutal and never again. I'd rather get a new character than get some more constellation for a character. The only character I'll get constellation for is for the Traveler. That's because they're free. But if they ever release like a gacha version of the Traveler, like a avatar version of the Traveler with all elements, then maybe I might go for like Constellation or 6. But when it comes to Arlecchino C3, it increases the level of her normal attack, invitation to a beheading by 3, maximum upgrade 15. So this increases her normal attack. Usually it's an elemental skill, elemental burst, but for Arlecchino, it's for a normal attack, which is kind of interesting. When it comes to Arlecchino, normal attack is kind of like the main thing when it comes to her damage. Not so much her burst and not so much her skill. Well, I guess for every main DPS, their main damage is normal attack. I'm kind of tripping, but when it comes to Arlecchino C4, when Arlecchino successfully absorbed a blood depth directive, Bale Moon Rising's cooldown will decrease by 2, and 15 elemental energy will be restored to her. This effect can occur every 10 seconds. To basically explain this constellation, Arlecchino absorbed the blood depth directive, whether by using a charge attack or whether by using her burst. Her cooldown for her burst will be decreased by 2 seconds, and 15 elemental energy will be restored to her, and this effect can occur every 10 seconds, so nothing too crazy. The cooldown of her burst is like 15. This will decrease it to 13, and you gain 15 energy, and it costs 60 energy to use a burst, so all you need is another 45 energy in order for her to use the burst again. Like, it's good, but it's not really necessary. Alright, so when it comes to C5, it increases the level of her elemental burst by 3, and the maximum upgrade is 15, so nothing crazy. But the interesting thing is that, like C4, her normal attack is upgraded in the constellation, and her burst, everybody's burst gets upgraded, so nothing changed. It's just very cool to see that. I kind of wish that Hutal's constellation increases her normal attack. Actually, I'm curious, does it actually? I don't really know. Yeah, no, when it comes to Hutal, her elemental skill gets upgraded by 3, so very interesting. Arlecchino is like the first person, at least from what I read so far, that has that. So that's kind of cool. Alright, so when it comes to Arlecchino's C6, the damage of the Bale Moon Rising is increased by Arlecchino's attack multiplied by 700% of Arlecchino's current bond of life percentage. For 20 seconds after Arlecchino uses all his Ash, both her normal attacks and elemental burst gain 10% increased crit rate and 70% increased crit damage. This effect can be triggered up to once every 15 seconds. So basically kind of self-explanatory. The damage of her elemental burst is increased by her attack multiplied by 700% of Arlecchino's current bond of life percentage, and for 20 seconds when she uses her elemental skill, both her normal attack and elemental burst gain 10% increased crit rate and 70% increase in crit damage, which is kind of crazy. And also don't sleep on the 10% increase in crit rate. That's also really good as well. This effect can be triggered once every 15 seconds, which, I mean, the cooldown definitely makes it a little bit less OP, but still, like, it's still kind of broken. Arlecchino is basically a damage dealer. He's basically just here to kill everything. I'm curious to see how much damage Arlecchino can do. People are doing 1 million damage with, like, Raiden. I'm just curious to see how much damage Arlecchino can do. 5 million? Nah, I'm kidding. I don't even know it's impossible. I can see it being like 2 million, something like that. I don't know what the maximum amount of damage you can do in this game. But overall, Arlecchino's constellations relatively easy to understand. There's some things here and there that kind of confuses me. I still have no idea what heck bond lifing is. I went through the entirety of her talent and skill and constellation, and I still have no idea what Bond of Life even is. They don't explain it. Come on, MiHoYo. Please explain things a little bit better. Stop leaving things so vague. I'm dumb. I don't know what any of this stuff means, and unless you tell me what it means, I have no idea what it means. But anyways, when it comes to Arlecchino's weapon, Arlecchino is a damage dealer, right? And when it comes to building her, or not building her, but like leveling her up, she increases crit damage, meaning that you kind of want to have a crit rate weapon in order to really maximize her being a damage dealer, because there's no point of having high crit damage if you have low crit rate. Having something like a death match on her, or like that new battle pass weapon, like anything with crit rate will help a lot in her doing consistent damage. Another good weapon, obviously, Arlecchino's weapon, like her 5-star weapon in the weapon gacha. Those weapons are tailored to the character. I mean, not only that, but you have Arlecchino's 5-star weapon. It'll change it to a Sai. When you use a skill or something like that, I don't know. Or maybe it changes when she attacks. And I know that when she does a normal attack, it does sort of have like that Sai outline. So I think if you use a normal attack, it'll change. I don't think it's with the burst or with the skill, whatever. But according to Kaching Mains, which is a website that writes guides on how Genshin characters work and how the build and stuff like that, they're a really good resource in learning how characters work. I've been using that ever since the game first came out. Yeah, I'll leave a link down below to Arlecchino's quick guide, but according to them, Primordial Jade Cutter is also pretty good as well. That's a weapon that you can get in the standard banner. Occasionally it does rerun. Remember Primordial Jade Spear? I'm not sure if I said Cutter, but I'm talking about Primordial Jade Spear. I believe that's Xiao's weapon. I could be wrong. But that weapon is definitely a little more accessible to get compared to Arlecchino's weapon. Apparently that weapon is relatively similar to Arlecchino's weapon, so that's a good alternative if you don't want to pull for a weapon and you already have one. And also another 2 more spears that are good at Arlecchino, according to Kaching Mains, is the Staff of Scarlet Sands, which I believe that is Sino's weapon, and the Staff of Homa, which is a really good weapon for everybody. You can't go wrong with Staff of Homa. I just think Arlecchino is kind of similar to a Tal. I should have seen Staff of Homa being a weapon that's good for Arlecchino as well. Arlecchino, I'm not sure if she scales off of HP or attack, or both. I honestly think it's both. I have no idea what Staff of Sands even increases, and because it doesn't really matter to me, because I'm never pulling in weapon gachas, or at least I'm never pulling anymore. I pull for the Primordial Jade Cutter for my Traveler. Other than that, I'm never pulling that banner again. Until one day they power creep the Primordial Jade Cutter by a lot. Instead of being like 40% crit rate, it's like 60% crit rate, then maybe I might pull again. I don't know, we'll see. There's also some other 5-star spears that are really good. For Arlecchino, according to Kaching Mains, is a Calamity Queller, which I believe that is Shunhe's weapon. And I believe Shunhe's weapon is attack percentage, because Shunhe scales as attack. And also Vortex Vanisher, I think it's Zhongli's weapon. I could be wrong. And I believe Zhongli's weapon increases HP percentage, so I can see that being pretty good for Arlecchino, but definitely not as good as the weapons I just said beforehand. But if you guys really want like a free-to-play weapon, like you guys are just starting out, you guys just got Arlecchino, and you guys are completely new to the game, don't have any weapons I mentioned, don't want to buy the battle pass, the best free-to-play weapon for Arlecchino, like completely free-to-play weapon, is the White Tassel, which is this right over here. So yeah, it increases normal attack damage by 48%, which was really good, and also crit rate too, so that's pretty good. Like, that's a pretty good weapon if you guys are like just starting out. If you guys want to spend a little bit of money, I feel like the battle pass weapons are really good. When it comes to the battle pass weapon, it increases your crit rate and also increases your damage you do depending on how many enemies are here. And not only that, but I believe you probably get more crit rate with the 4-star weapon than what you do with 3-star weapons. You guys use deathmatch or like that new battle pass weapon. Like the battle pass weapons are like the mid tier, White Tassel is like the low tier. The high tiers are like the Her weapon and the Primordial Jade Cutter, and the Homa and the Scarlet Sands, whatever. So those are like a tip top. Like I said before, I'm gonna leave a link to the Kaching Mains guide on Arlecchino down below, because they can explain this stuff way better than I can. But yeah, I'll probably be using their website when it comes to explaining what weapons you want to run on a character, because apparently for my last 2-3-ish videos doing an Idiot's Guide series, whatever, my weapons recommendations are completely off. Like, I have no idea how a character works apparently. I'm just like, a character scales off of HP, use the HP weapon. The skill on the weapon matters more than the main stat. I mean, not all the time, but for the most part, the skill is the biggest part of when it comes to weapon. Not so much the main stat, but those are the weapons that are really good for Arlecchino. And when it comes to Arlecchino's best artifact set, according to Kaching Mains, her best sets are Fragment of Harmatic Whimsy. With a 2-piece set, you get attack plus 18%. With a 4-piece set, if the value of Bond of Life increases by even like 1%, she gets 18% increased damage for 6 seconds. And it can stack this 3 times. And when it comes to Arlecchino's kit, her Bond of Life kind of changes a lot. She consumes Bond of Life, but also gets Bond of Life. So I feel like very easy to keep this up and get 3 stacks. So you get like 54% increased damage for 6 seconds, which is kind of crazy. And there's like no cooldown when it comes to this. If she can keep this up forever, I think she can just do 54% increased damage like forever. Yeah, I think that's why this is her best set. You can tell the set is made for Arlecchino, so this is probably what you want to run for sure. But you guys want like a budget artifact set, according to Kaching Mains, it is a second best set. When it comes to Gladiator, you get an extra 18% attack, and the wielder uses a sword, claymore, or polearm. Increases normal attack damage by 35%. It's relatively easy easy to get the set, but I'm just playing the game. I don't think there's a dedicated domain to this, so it's gonna be hard to get this in the beginning, but just by playing the game, doing boss fights or whatever, you can get a whole bunch of these eventually. Like I have like 354 of these things, so yeah, like eventually when you become more of a veteran in this game, you'll have a whole bunch of this stuff. Yeah, other than that, there's some other really good sets for Arlecchino according to Kaching main, but not as good as the other two that I just mentioned. Is this set right over here, this set, and as well as this set. And there's plenty more. If you guys want to read the whole thing, like before, I'll leave a link to the entire guide in the description. But yeah, those are like some of the other artifacts that are really good for Arlecchino. But for the most part, like I said before, the fragment of a harmonic Whimsy, which is basically tailored to Arlecchino, is probably the best one. This one says Bond in Life as well. So I'm assuming Bond in Life is a term not just for Arlecchino, but like another term in general. But also this is like her second best set, basically like the budget set. If I'm reading Arlecchino's kit and knowing that she's a damage dealer, personally this is what I run for her. I also check the Kaching main website as well to see if it aligns with what I would use, and it does. So I always use the crit damage circlet because with Arlecchino being a damage dealer, you want to have much crit damage as possible. And since you're running a crit rate weapon, you don't really need to run a crit rate circlet. And when it comes to her goblet, I'll run pyro damage because I want her to do power damage. For the most part, she'll be doing pyro damage, so you want to have pyro damage goblet. But I mean, you want to run like attack percentage, I mean, you can do that as well, but pyro damage is probably what you want to run. And when it comes to the sands, you want to run attack percentage because Arlecchino, like before, one of the passive talents is based off of how much attack she has, some of her skills and talents and constellations also kind of scaled up for her attack, so you kind of want to run attack percentage sands. So according to the Kaching mains, if you guys want to run elemental mastery, you guys can. I'm assuming that's if you want to do a bunch of like reactions and whatnot. Personally, for me, I'll run attack sands. But when it comes to these two, they're basically the same thing, so it doesn't really matter. What matters here is like the substats. And according to the Kaching mains, when it comes to substats, you want to have much element to recharge, enough for you to do your burst when the cooldown's over. And other than that, you guys want to go for stats like crit rate, which, like I said before, her crit damage is relatively high, so you kind of need a lot of crit rate to give that consistent damage. You don't really have to worry too much about the crit damage because you already have the crit damage just from leveling her up as well as from the circlet. And also you want to have attack percentage as well because she scaled off attack, I think, or HP. Like before, I think scales off a bolt, so you want to have more attack percentage. Those elemental mastery, depending on what kind of teams you guys are running, if you have to pretty much your reaction, you're going to have more of that. But I think a little bit of HP percentage and HP in general wouldn't hurt. Like for example, you see something like this, you guys see the crit damage and crit rate, you guys have a little HP there as well. It wouldn't hurt to have a little bit HP depending on what artifacts you guys have. But most of us, we don't have perfect artifacts. If you guys are looking for artifacts and you guys stumble upon something like this, it's not so bad. Even though it doesn't have elemental recharge or attack, the HP doesn't hurt, you know, it's not too bad. But obviously focus on the previous substats I said before, like elemental recharge, crit rate, attack percentage, and elemental mastery. Yeah, like before, I'm gonna leave the link to the Kaching main's guide down below if you guys want to take a little more detailed look on what to run when it comes to Arlecchino. But that's basically what they said. But yeah, now that we're finally done with learning her kit, let's get into trying her out and stuff like that. So I really want to check out to see if she can be healed or not. So I'm kind of putting on this team for now. The teams I would run with Arlecchino is vaporize teams or like a melt team. Another thing is like an overload team, pretty good. But at the same time, I feel like that requires you to have elemental mastery for Arlecchino. And another team I saw from Kaching mains is like a mono pyro team, which kind of interesting. That wouldn't require you to really have elemental mastery, so I can see that being a viable option. But I personally like to run elemental reaction type of team. I think it's just more fun to play. I don't really like running mono teams unless it's like something like mono Geo, which I kind of have to because Geo doesn't really have any reactions to anything. Yeah, but anyways, let's get into it. So let's learn how she works. But the first thing first, when it comes to Arlecchino's normal attack, you guys see, like, you guys see the outline with the Psy. So yeah, if you guys have her weapon, her signature weapon, it'll actually turn into a Psy. Whereas for this, it's like an outline, which is still pretty cool, but definitely not as cool as her signature weapon. And when it comes to her charge attack, she has this whole wing thing, and she travels really fast, so this is really cool. I like it a lot. Literally like Sephiroth, the one-winged angel. Like, that's so cool. So that's kind of better for like normal attack animations. What's interesting about Arlecchino is that when it comes to using a charge attack, a lot of characters, like spear characters, they have like one like thrust or whatever. But for her, she had like that whole teleporting thing. So yeah, if you guys don't want to use her wings, like sometimes I feel it's kind of annoying. Like you use this, and then all of a sudden you just go into a wing form by accident. You kind of still have to like let it go immediately after you use her charge attack. It's a little thing you kind of get used to, I guess. But let me try it and see if I can be healed. Arlecchino can't be healed other than her burst. I didn't do any damage. There we go. Okay, so let's try healing her. I want to do this. Let's see. That's crazy. She can't be healed. Wow, that's awesome. Not awesome, but like, it's interesting. So running a healer on an Arlecchino team, it's not really viable. Unless you're running Farina, in which case then I guess you want to run a healer anyway. I'm trying to think of some other stuff I want to test out. Alright, so let's use her skill. Okay, so yeah, it's doing some damage. I think they have the blood depth thingy debuff on them. So let me use a charge attack. Did I heal or did I not? I think the bond of life is the extra value. You guys see that? The red outline to my HP. I think this is the extra value. Yeah, and then also wow, okay, so that's how it works. Yeah, she does pyro damage too. How haven't I go all the way down? That's interesting. Wow, she continuously does pyro damage. That's crazy. Okay, so yeah, the bond of life is an extra value. Okay, so I'm glad I actually kind of figured that out myself. I think I used Arlecchino before, and I thought that when I saw the HP, like the outline, I thought it was like some kind of debuff on me, but that's actually a buff on her. Okay, let me test out and see what happens. I go back to like 0 bond of life. Oh yeah, see, I'm below 30% bond of life, and now it's back into normal attack. Ah, shoot. Okay, I can't heal too. She can't heal with item. That's crazy. What? Okay, let's use a burst. Oh, burst healed her right there. I think I lost all my bond of life, but the cooldown of the skill reset. Okay, now we'll use charge attack. Oh my god. Oh, you see the bond of life thing? Okay, so you guys see like the debuff, and I got bond of life back. The survivability of Arlecchino is kind of hard unless you have elemental recharge in order to keep up her burst, because she only heal with her burst, meaning that it's kind of very easy for her to die. But she can't be healed using a normal egg. I guess technically speaking, she can be healed, but not really. Like, all she can do is revive. When you're running Arlecchino, you might want to run a better revive food item. Maybe one that gives 1000 HP. That way, when you start for Arlecchino, you don't just immediately die, because she can't heal herself. Other than that, I also kind of wish that Bond of Life was kind of like a shield. That'd be kind of neat for Arlecchino. If you get hit, it just takes away some of the value from Bond of Life, rather than just take away from her normal HP. But when it comes to Arlecchino, instead of a healer, you might want to run a shielder, like a Zhongli, someone like that. That's why the retracting bullet was as one of the recommended artifacts for her, because Arlecchino can't heal herself, so having a shield would be really useful. Wait, hold up. I can heal. What? Oh, no, I'm tripping. I guess you can heal her. If she's in the bond of life state, can she not heal herself? I can heal her right now. I'm in the bond of life state now. Okay, and so if you're in the bond of life state, you cannot be healed. Only when you're out of the bond of life state is when you can be healed. The only issue is how to get out of the bond of life state. Does it? Wings do it in there. The wings doesn't really do any damage. Oh man, the fire with Arlecchino would be annoying. So you can't get out of this bond of life. Once you're in this state, you can't get out of it. When it comes to normal attack, it does take like 7% of the bond of life value, but you can't get rid of it. So if I switch out, no, it's still here. When it comes to Arlecchino, a shielder is a must. You want to run a shielder, and she needs that element to recharge so she can keep it up, so you can constantly heal herself. Now being the heal, it definitely sucks. Especially someone like me who's completely new with this game, I constantly need to heal. Let's test out with a vaporize team, see how that works. Oh, you know what? Maybe running Farina would be a great idea for Arlecchino. Okay, and we're gonna run this and heal back that. That's interesting. Okay, this is cool. Alright. Man, non-healing could be annoying. This isn't. Well, my Arlecchino isn't really built right now, so she's not really gonna work. Unless you have Arlecchino built with elemental recharge, she's not a character that I would use unbuilt. She doesn't work being unbuilt. Yeah, let me heal up, and I'm gonna try out using a different team. Also with Farina, taking Arlecchino's HP away, that's kind of annoying, I'm not gonna lie. The only way, like before, to make that a little bit better when it comes to running Farina and Arlecchino is if you have her element to recharge enough if she can use a burst whenever it's up. That's the only way running Farina or Arlecchino wouldn't be so bad. Or a shielder, if you have a shielder as well, that's pretty good. Otherwise, it won't be the best, in my opinion. The only issue is I don't have a Zhongli. Let's see, what the shielder do I have? I'm thinking like Noelle, but Noelle not really good. Diona will work too, because Diona is a cryo character. You can run a melt team. Overload team, they don't have a shielder. Beto is the only one that has a shield, but she doesn't really give it to anyone. Let's run a melt team, and I'm gonna throw in a shielder. You know, I'll take out Dia, because we don't need Dia, because Arlecchino herself can have constant pyro damage. Running someone like Diona would be really helpful. But Diona, I think her elemental skill. The shield, yeah. That is shield. This is pretty good. It has like increased movement. I did not know that. It is like a talent or whatever, but that's crazy. She's. Yo, hold on. What if I use my wing? Oh, wait, it's over. Let me try it again. Alright, let's use my wing. And no, I don't feel any faster. Alright, but anyway, let's try out this team. If you have Zhongli, run him with Arlecchino. That way she'll never die. Alright, let's give it a shot. Alright, so that seemed pretty good. I'm gonna try finding more enemies first. Yeah, it's only one enemy, so it really didn't do that much damage. I fight these guys. Go for my shield. This. Shunha. Yeah, okay, so my Arlecchino really built, and she does a decent amount of damage for not being built. Okay. And you're doing it with the shield again. Hey, oh no, I need healing, so I'm gonna use the burst, get the healing back, and also get some more bond. I'm like, oh, I'm out of the state. Does this burst take me out of the state? If that's the case, that's pretty good. Yeah, that really allows me to heal, like, up again.
My will embodied. Cryo incarnate.
Also, I'm noticing right now my burst is kind of like almost there, right? I barely really did anything, so it's not too bad.
My apologies.
A little more element recharge, and I think she'll be great. Yeah, I have a burst up right now. Let's use that burst. Does it take me out of the... Ah, yeah, so using her burst takes you out of state, so then I can like just heal up. I don't really need to heal because her burst healed me already, so there's really no point. The crowd team for Arlecchino is pretty good, especially with the shielder like Diona. I'm kind of on an overload team, see what happens. It's probably not gonna work so well. I can't be healed, right? Yeah, not really gonna work so well. Unless I have enough to keep up her burst.
Now you shall perish. Right now. Right here. Is that...
Yeah, okay, now I can switch into her and just heal for a bit. I don't know, I can't? Even though I'm out of the state, I can't heal. Like, you guys see right there, I'm not really in the state right now, but I still can't heal myself. Alright, so let's finish this guy up.
Right now. Right here. Right now. Laid bare. A gift for you.
Man, Arlecchino's so strong even though she's not really built. It's crazy. Alright, so let's test that out one more time. This is so cool. I love the little floating thing. The circle. Alright, let's test that out one last time and then we'll call it video quits. So,
Stand with me. Emerge. Right now. My disgrace. Illusion shattered. Torn to oblivion. Transfixed.
where'd it go?
Witness my rise. Right here. Right now. There is no escape.
I'm about to die, I'm about to die. Ah! Oh my god, the water. Oh, you see, look at. Like, oh my goodness, I just. I got hit by the electricity. Did it die? How many trees does he have? Arlecchino's so much fun. Overload team by far my favorite when it comes to running Arlecchino. Only issue I need more elements to recharge in order to be able to heal her. I think that's the team I'm gonna run when it comes to Arlecchino. That's so much fun. And also, I don't need to run a healer too. Well, actually, I still need to run a healer for the other characters, right? They can't heal themselves. I feel like I still need to run a healer with Arlecchino team. I guess it depends on what content you're doing. And also depends on what you guys like to do. Personally, for me, I like running a healer because I don't like using items because items are a pain in the butt to get. And I don't want to waste them. And I don't want to burn through them too quickly. So that's why I run a healer. But yeah, when it comes to like some of the revive items, definitely go for like the high HP revive items, like something like this. That way you have the most amount of HP when you first start with Arlecchino. Well, I mean, not really. But now Arlecchino died, I can heal her because she's not in that state anymore. Even though before I used a burst, I wasn't in a state anyway, I couldn't heal myself. The only way for her to heal herself when she gets revived immediately. Otherwise, if you use a elemental skill again, can I heal anymore? No, I think it had to be in a state. So I don't think I'm in a state right now. Okay, overall, kind of for Arlecchino's video. Hope this video helped you guys out. I learned a lot from Arlecchino. I learned that there's a new value called Bond of Life, which they don't really explain. I guess you kind of expect you to read the patch notes and really to know what it is. So that's on me for not reading the patch notes. I don't think I've read a patch note in Genshin Impact since 1.1. Yeah, it's on me. And also the healing, it'll be something for me to get used to. Once I have my element to recharge, it should be nothing. I won't be affecting me too much, but since I don't have any element to recharge on her, it's kind of hard. I don't really suggest playing Arlecchino unless you have her built to some degree. So now I see why element recharge is so important on her. Otherwise, she's just gonna constantly die. Or if you have a shielder, that will help as well. But anyways, I kind of for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed. Yeah, my Genshin Impact idiot guys. Definitely hit the like, subscribe button. I'm planning to do more of them. The next character I think we're going to do is Chiori or Navio. But I think it's be Chiori. I think it's just like the other most recent character that came out. I kind of want to work on the recent characters first and then go back to like the older ones. Yeah, it'll probably be a Chiori and to be Navia. But if you guys interested in my Genshin Impact videos, not just my idiot guys series, I'll Genshin Impact videos every single Saturday. That's every time you go on my channel if you're interested. But also, if I get anything wrong in this video, definitely let me know in the comment section below. Like, feel free to correct me. If you guys seen this video, I am not the smartest Genshin player. There's a lot of stuff I don't really know. Like, I did not know what Bond Life is until end of the video. So, but anyways, comment, hope you guys enjoyed. And yeah, thanks for watching. I'll see you guys later.